Good day, everyone! I hope you're all feeling sharp and ready to exercise those brilliant minds of yours because today's class is going to be both exciting and challenging.
We're diving into the world of puzzles. Our lesson will cover strategies to solve Sudoku, Kenken, magic squares, and other logic puzzles. Think of it as a workout for your brain. Fun, stimulating, and rewarding.
By the end of this session, you'll have the tools to tackle these puzzles like a pro.
But before we start, let us introduce to you your teachers for today. Starting with Sir Romnick, the one and only boy from the faculty. On his left is Ma'am France, the pink one, and Ma'am Carla, the gray one.
On his right is Ma'am Marian, the blue one, and Ma'am Sila, the golden one. At the top, you will see us, your MC for today.
I am Ma'am Hannah, the one outlined red.
And I am Ma'am Hazel, the one with the white outline.
We hope you enjoy listening with us and comment down below if you have questions.
Before we begin, tell me, have you ever solved a puzzle that made you feel like a genius? Or maybe one that left you scratching your head? If yes, then great. If no, don't worry, that's okay. You'll encounter many here and we are here to help you to solve it.
These are our objectives for today. We only have two. A. The students will able to familiarize the mechanics and rules of each game. Sudoku, Kenken, Magic Square, and Logic Puzzle. B. The students enhance their skills by using logic and patterns, as well as their math skills like addition and multiplication. We will move forward to our first game which is the Sudoku. Pero bago yan, gusto niyo bang malaman ang isang fun fact about Sudoku? Well, ito yun. Sudoku's original name was number place and was created by Swiss mathematician Leonhard Euler in the 18th century. However, the modern version originated in Japan in 1979, coined Sudoku by puzzle company Nicolis founder Maki Kaji.
Now let's move on to the mechanics of Sudoku. The mechanics of Sudoku revolve around logic and reasoning. It is a number placement puzzle played on a 4x4 grid divided into 2x2 subgrids, or 9x9 grid divided by 3x3 subgrids.
The rules of Sudoku are as follows. Number 1. The grid starts with some numbers already filled in. These numbers are clues. Number 2, you have to fill the empty cells with numbers from 1 to 4 if it's 2x2 subgrid, or 1 to 9 if it's 3x3 subgrid. Number 3, there are constraints. Number 1 is row rule. Each row must contain the numbers 1 through 4 over 1 through 9 without repetition. 2 is the column rule. Each column must contain the numbers 1 through 4 over 1 through 9 without repetition. And lastly is the subgrid rule. Each 2x2 or 3x3 subgrid must contain the numbers 1 through 4 over 1 through 9 without repetition. And of course, the last rule is the placement of numbers relies solely on logic, not mathematical calculations. So you don't need to use calculators or even do calculations on your paper to answer this. Just your common sense.
To help you to solve it, we will give you some techniques. 1. Scanning. Look for rows, columns, or subgrids where certain numbers can logically fit based on clues. 2. Elimination. Rule out possibilities for a cell by considering the numbers already present in the same rows, columns, or subgrids.
3. Pencil marks. Write small notes in cells to track potential candidates and narrow down options. And lastly, logical deduction. Use reasoning to deduce the correct number for a cell based on the clues.
Let's call on Ma'am Sila to help you to solve the first example.
Good day. This is how we solve the Sudoku problem. As you can see, in first subgrid there are one missing number. At the top of the
Left cell contains the number 3.
And at the top of the right cell
contains the number 1.
and at the bottom of the
Left cell
is number 4. So the only missing number is number 2. So the answer of the first subgrid is number 2. Second is, as you can see, at the right subgrid has a 2 empty cell. At the
left cell
contains the number 2. And the right bottom cell contains the number 1. At the third subgrid, as you can see, it has 3 missing numbers. The only number it has is number 1.
at the left top of cell
Contains the number 2. And at the right cell contains the number 4. And at the bottom of left cell contains the number 3. At the last subgrid, as you can see, there are only one number, which is number
2.
So it has 3 missing numbers. So at the top of the
Left cell
contains the number 1. And at the
right
top of the cell contains the number 3. At the bottom of the left cell contains the number
4.
So that's how we solve the Sudoku problem.
Up next, we will have Ma'am Franz to help you solve the next example.
In the middle right subgrid, you can notice that in column 8, row 4, and row 6, they already has an 8. That means you can put the number 8 in the row 5 of the 9th column. Next is in the middle of the upper subgrid. As you can see in column 4, column 6, and row 1, it has an 8. So you can put the number 8 in the 5th column of the 2nd row. In the left upper subgrid, as you can see, the number 8 is already in the row 1, row 2, and column 2. So you can put the number 8 in the 3rd column of the 3rd row. In the lower part of subgrid, the number 8 has already in the column 2, column 3, and row 9. That means you can put the number 8 in the 1st column of the 7th row. In the lower right subgrid, you can put the number 8 in the row 8 of the 7th column because you can see the number 8 in the 8th column, 9th column, 7th row, and 9th row. In the upper left subgrid, you can put the number 5 in the 2nd row and 2nd column. So you can put the number 5 in the 1st column of the 1st row. In the lower left subgrid, you can put the number 5 in the 3rd column of the 9th row because we can put the 5 in the 1st column, 2nd column, 7th row, and 8th row since it already has. In the upper right subgrid, you can put now the 5 in the 3rd row of the 9th column since we cannot put it on other row and column. In the upper left subgrid, you can put the number 6 in the 2nd and 3rd living with the 1st row. So you can put the number 6 in the 1st row of the 2nd column. In the lower left subgrid, you can put the number 6 in the 7th row, 8th row, and 2nd column. So you can put the number 5 in the 9th row of the 1st column. In the middle right subgrid, you can put the number 3 in row 4 and column 8. So you can put the number 3 in the 6th row of the 7th column. In the lower right subgrid, you can put the number 2 in the 7th row, leaving in the 9th row. So you can now put the 2 in the 9th row. In the middle right subgrid, you can put 7 in the 4th row. So you can put the 7 in the 5th row of the 8th column. In the lower right subgrid, you can put the 7 in the 8th column. So you can put in the 7th column of the 7th row. Since there is only one missing number, you can now put the missing number, which is 4. In the middle right subgrid, you can put the 2 in the 9th column. So you can put the 2 in the 8th column of the 3rd row. Since there is one left missing number, you can put it now on the 4th row of the 9th column, which is 9. In the upper right subgrid, you can put 9 in 7th column and 9th column. So you can put 9 in 8th row of the 2 row. In the middle subgrid, you can put 2 in column 5, column 6, and row 4. So you can now put the 2 in the 4th column of the 5th row. In the lower left subgrid, you can put the 2 in the 7th row and 9th row. So you can now put it on 8th row of the 2nd column. In the upper right subgrid, you can put the 2 in the 1st row, 2nd row, and 9th column. So you can now put it on the 2nd row of the 7th column. In the middle left subgrid, you can put 2 in the 1st column, 2nd column, and 4th row. So you can now put the 2 in the 6th row of the 3rd column. In the upper right column, you can put 1 in the column 9 and row 1. So you can now put 1 in the 3rd row of the 7th column. Since you can put the 4 in the 9th column, you can now put the 4 in the 1st row of the 7th column. In the row 1, there are 2 missing numbers, which is 3 and 7. And the upper middle subgrid has 3, so you can now put 3 in the 9th column of the 1st row. Since there is one missing number, you can now put the missing number in the 5th row of the 1st row, which is the 7. In the upper right subgrid, there is one missing number, which is the 7. So you can now put the 7 there. In the lower middle subgrid, you can put the 7 in the 5th column and 7th row. So you can put the 7 in the 9th row of the 4th column. In the middle subgrid, you can put the 7 in the 5th column, 4th row, and 5th row. So you can now put the 7 in the 6th row of the 6th column. In the upper left subgrid, you can put the 7 in the 2nd row and 3rd column. So you can now put the 7 in the 3rd row of the 2nd column. In the lower middle subgrid, you can put the 4 on the 7th and 8th row. So you can now put the 4 on the 9th row of the 5th column. Since you can put the 1 on the 8th row, you can put the 1 on the 7th row of the 6th column, leaving with a missing number. So you can now put there the missing number, which is 9. In the middle subgrid, you can put 9 in the 5th column and 4th row. So you can now put it on the 5th row of the 6th column. In the middle left subgrid, you can put the 9 in the 4th row and 5th row. so you can put it on the 6th row. In the lower left subgrid, you can put the 9 in the 9th row and 3rd column, so you can put it on the 7th row of the 2nd column. In the upper middle subgrid, you can put 9 in the 6th row, so you can now put the 9 in the 4th column. You can now put the missing number on the 6th column, which is the 4. In the 4th column, there is one missing number, which is 4, so you can now put it there. In the upper left subgrid, you can put the 4 in the 1st and 3rd column, so you can now put the 4 on the 2nd column. In the middle left subgrid, you can put the 6 in the 1st and 2nd column, so you can now put in the 6 on the 3rd column. In the middle subgrid, you can put the 6 in the 4th, so you can now put the 6 on the 6th row. Since there is only one missing left, you can now put the missing number, which is 1. In the lower left subgrid, you can put the 1 in the 7th row, so you can now put the 1 in the 9th row. Since there is one missing left, you can now put the missing number, which is 3. In the upper left subgrid, you can put the 3 in the 3rd row, so you can now put the 3 on the 1st column. Since there is only one missing number, you can now put the number, which is 1. In the middle left subgrid, you can now put the 3 in the 1st column, so you can now put the 3 on the 2nd column, leaving with a one missing number, which is 1.
Example number 3 of Sudoku. My strategy on how to solve Sudoku is look at first in each column, row, and subgrids if which has more number to easily find the missing numbers. In the 6th column, you can see that there are 4 missing numbers, which is 2, 4, 7, and 9. As you can see in the lower part of a column, there are 2 missing numbers. As you look to each row, you can see a number 4. That means you need to cancel out first the number 4. From choices 2, 4, 7, and 9, it means that you can put the number 4 at the upper or in the middle. Since in the middle up subgrid already has number 7 and 9, it means that you need to put it on the lower part of a column. You can notice that in the lower column, there is already has number 7, so you need to put the number 6 in the lower part and in the upper part. You can put the number 7. To find out where you need to put the number 2 and 4, as you can see at the upper part of the row number 1 and 3, there already has number 2. That means you need to put the number 2 between the row 1 and 3. So the remaining number is 4. So put the number 4 at the middle of the column. Next step is look at the right part of column 7. There are 5 missing numbers, which is 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. In the upper part of subgrid has already 9 and 2. You can notice that you can put the number 9 in the 5th row because it already has same with the row 9. So the remaining row is the 7th row. That means you can put the number 9 in the 7th row. Next is the number 8. As you can see in the lower and middle subgrid, it already has 8, so the remaining cell is in the upper subgrid. Try to look on each row as you can see. In the 2nd row, it already has a number 8, so that means you can put the number 8 in the third row. In row 2, you can't put the number 5, 6. That means 7 is the possible answer, and the remaining number are 5 and 6. In the upper left subgrid, you can put the number 9 in the first column and first row because you cannot repeat the number 9. That means you can put the number 9 in the third row. In the third column, you can put the number 4 in the fifth row. And in the lower left subgrid, because it already has a 4. So, you need to put the number 4 in the first row of the third column. In the fifth row of the column, you can put the number 8, same in row 7. That means you need to put the number 8 in the 8th row of a column. In the upper middle subgrid, you cannot put the number 9 in the row 1 and row 3, so the possible answer is in the second row of a column. In the fourth column, you can put the number 8 in row 5, 8, and 3 because they already has 8 number. The possible answer is in the row 1 of fourth column. In the middle subgrid, you can put the number 4 in the column 4 and row 1. So you need to put the number 4 in the third row of a fifth column. You can put the number 7 in the fourth column. So you need to put the number 7 in the fifth column, and the only remaining number is 6. So you need to put it in the fourth column. In the right side of subgrid, you cannot put the number 6 in the row 2 and 3. So the possible answer is in the row 1. In the right subgrid, you can put the number 9 in the fifth, 6th, and also in the 8th column. So the possible answer is in the fourth row. In the lower left subgrid, you can put the number 9 in the row 7 and column 1. So the answer is in the row 8 of column 2. At the middle of the lower subgrid, you can't put the number 8 because each row and column has a number 8. The answer will in the row 9 and of column 5. At the upper right part of subgrid, you can't put the number 7 in row 1 and 2. So the answer will in row 3 of the first column. At the left middle subgrid, you can put the number 8 in the fifth, 6 in the column 2. The answer will be in the fourth of a column. At the middle left subgrid, you can put the number 4 in the row 5 and in the column 2 and 3. The answer will be in the 6th row of first column. At the middle right subgrid, you can put the number 4 in the row 8. At the upper part of the right subgrid, you can put the number 4 in the row 1 and 3 of 8 column. The answer will be in the second row at the 9th column. At the upper right subgrid, you can put the number 1 in the third row. The answer will be in the second row. At the middle of subgrid, you can put the number 2 in row 4 of 5th column because it has already 2 in the 2nd column. So you will put the number 6 in the 4th row of column 2. At the middle of a lower subgrid, you can put the number 2 in the 5th column. The answer is in the 4th column in the 8th row. At the middle of the right subgrid, you can put the numbers 2 in the 6th row and 7th column. The answer is in the 5th row of 8th column. At the middle of the subgrid, you can now put the number 3 in the 5th row of a 4th column. At the upper left of subgrid, you can now put the number 3 in the 2nd of a column 1. At the lower left subgrid, you can now put the number 3 in column 2 because you can put it in the column 1 and 3 because they already has. At the lower middle subgrid, you can now put the number 3 in the row 8 of column 5. Then put the number 5 at the 7th row of 5th column. Since the 3rd column of 7th row has the number 5, you can now put the number 5 in the 5th row of the 3rd column. And you can now put the 1 in the 7th row of the 3rd column. At the lower right subgrid, you can now put the number 1 in the 8th row. Since row 7 and 9 and column 7 and 8 has already number 1, at the 7th row of the 9 has already 6, therefore you can put the 6 in the 1st column of the 7th row. Since only 1 is missing in the 7th row, you can now put the missing number, which is number 2. You cannot put the number 1 in the right lower subgrid of the 8th row. So, put the 5 on the 1st column of the 8th row. Then put the last number in the 8th row of the 8th column, which is 7. In the lower left subgrid, you can now put the last number, which is the number 2. At the 1st column, you can now put the last number, which is 1. And in row 1, you can now put also the last number, which is 5. Since in the 7th column of the row 5 has already 5, you can now put the 5 in the 7th column of the 9th row. And now, you can now put the last number in the 7th column of the 5th row. At the middle of the subgrid, you can now put the number 6 in the 6th row of the 5th column. And then you can now put the last number on the 5th row of the 5th column, which is the number 1. At the middle left subgrid, you can now put the number 1 in the 6th row of the 2nd column. And you can now put the last number on the 5th row of the 2nd column, which is number 7. At the lower right subgrid, you can't put the 6 in the 9th column, so you will put it on the 8th column of the 9th row. And you can now put the last number in the 9th row at the 9th column, which is 3. At the middle of the right subgrid, you can put the 7 in the 6th row of the 9th column, since both row of 4 and 5 has already 7. At the upper part of the 3rd row, you can now put the number 5, both 7 and 8 column has already 5. And then put the last number in the third row of the 8th column, which is the number 3.
So we'll move forward to Kenken, and this mechanics of this game is same to Sudoku, which is played on a square grid, commonly 4x4, 6x6, or 9x9. The objective is to fill the grid with numbers while satisfying specific mathematical constraints. And of course, we have a set of rules. These are 5. 1. Each row and column must contain unique numbers without repetition. 2. The numbers in each cage must combine to satisfy the target number using the indicated operation. 3. The order in a cage does not matter as long as the target number is achieved. 4. If a cage consists of a single cell, the number in that cell is directly specified. And lastly, only the grid's designated numbers are used. So here's the techniques to solve the Kenken faster. First is to start with single cell cages. Fill in the cages with only one cell since their value is already given. Work with small cages. Solve cages with simple operations like addition or subtraction as they have limited combinations. Third is to eliminate possibilities. Use the rules of unique numbers in rows and columns to eliminate incorrect options for each cell. And lastly, cross-check rows and columns. Continuously check how numbers in rows and columns interact with cage constraints to narrow down choices. I'll give the floor to Ma'am Marian to give to you the first example.
Hi class, I'm teacher Marian. Today, I will introduce to you a new type of math puzzle. This is known as Kenken puzzle. It's really simple and easy puzzle to play as I will demonstrate to the course of this presentation. Without further ado, let's get started. The first thing you need to do before you playing a Kenken puzzle, you need to first to try and figure it out what kind of a Kenken puzzle it is. Kenken puzzle in these examples that I will flash in the screen, it is a 4x4 Kenken puzzle. Ang ibig sabihin ay ang kada row ng box na ito ay may 4 na box sa taas at 4 na box din sa gilid. Now, let's solve this puzzle. This puzzle, we are only gonna use the number 1, 2, 3, and 4 because this is a 4x4. And in Kenken puzzle, we cannot use the number 0. The first cage has a 2 and a division sign. The number that we can divide to get the sum of these is 2 and 1. Now, let's move on to the second cage. The cage we see has a 7 and addition sign. We can use 3 and 4 to get the number 7. Because when you add it, you will get the sum or the given number. Let's move to another cage. The another cage that we will solve is the number 1 with subtraction sign. We will do the same but this is a different sign now. Let's find a number 1 to 4 that when we subtract the equal is 1. The number that we can use is 2 and 3 because when you subtract the number, we subtract the 2 and 3, the equals is 1. Next, we will solve the cage that has a 3. And a subtraction sign. The number that we can use that when we subtract, we will get the 3. The number is 1 and 4. The cage that we will solve in is 4 with a multiply sign. We can use the 2 and 1 and 2 number because when you multiply that 2 times 1 equals 2 and when you multiply 2 times 2, the answer will be 4. The next cage that has a 4 number, it is the same because it has an only one cage and the answer is 4. The next cage that we will solve is 1 with the subtraction sign. We can use the number 4 and 3 because when you subtract the 4 and 3, the answer is 1. And the last cage that we will answer is the cage that has a subtraction sign and has a number 2. This cage we will
Put 3 and 1 because as you can see, it is the only numbers that are left.
Kenken puzzle in these examples that I will flash in the screen it is a 3 by 3 Kenken puzzle. Ang ibig sabihin ay ang kada row ng box na ito ay may tatlo na box sa taas at tatlo din na box sa gilid. Now, let's solve this puzzle. This puzzle we are only gonna use the number 1, 2, and 3 because this is a 3 by 3. And in Kenken puzzle, we cannot use the number 0. Now, let's try to solve this first example. In the first cage in the upper, you can see a 5 and an addition sign. This means that we will find a number in 1 to 3 that equivalent to 5. Now, let's find. We can use the number 2 and 3, and when you add it, it gives you the answer of 5. And the next cage in upper right part, the cage has 3 and an addition sign. Now, we will find again a number that is equal to 3. The number that we can use is 1 and 2, and if you plus it, it gives you the answer of 3. The next cage that we will solve is a cage that has a number 4 in the left side. As the cage earlier, we need to find the number that we can add it to get the 4. And the number that we can use is 3 and 1. Because when you added the 3 and 1, the answer is 4. Now, let's solve again the cage that in the middle that has a 3 and an addition sign. The number that we can use is 1 and 2. The same as earlier. The last cage that has in this example, has only one cage in the lower part. The number 3 is the same in the answer because we cannot put another number because it has only one cage.
Wow, that's great explanation, Ma'am Marian. Here's Ma'am Hazel to give you the challenging part of Kenken.
We start with the top left cage marked times 15. This means we need to fill two cells with numbers that multiply to 15. The only pair that works here is 5 times 3. So we can put here is 5 then 3. Now we move to the plus 4 cage next to times 15. We have the plus 4 cage. This cage contains only one cell, so we can directly fill this with the number 4. Now the plus 11 cage, middle top. We have plus 11 cage. We need to find 3 numbers that add up to 11. Since we can repeat the numbers, the only valid combination is 6 plus 2 plus 3 equal 11. So we can put there 6, 2, and 3. Next is the minus 4 cage, top right, moving to the right side, which requires 2 numbers that subtract to 4. The valid pair here is 1 minus 5 equals 4. Now let's work with the plus 7 cage, which needs 2 numbers to add to 7. The valid pair here is 2 plus 5 equals 7. Now we move to plus 5 cage in the middle left. We solve the plus 5 cage which requires 2 numbers that add to 5. The only possible pair is 1 plus 4 equal 5. So we can put here 1 and 4. To solve, multiply to 18 cage, middle right, which spans 3 cells. We need to find 3 numbers that multiply to 18. The combination that works here is 6 times 3 times 1 equals 18. So the answer is 6, 3, and 1. Now we move on to the plus 5 gauge, top right. which requires two numbers that add to 5. For the times 30 cage in the center, we need three numbers that multiply to 30. What do you think the valid combination? So, for me, the valid combination is 2 times 5 times 3 equals 30. So, we can put here 2, 5, and 3. Moving to the times 20 cage, we need two numbers that multiply to 20. The valid combination is 4 times 5 equal 20. Same nung kanina is 4 and 5 yung ilalagay natin. Now we have divided by 6 cage, which requires two cells. That possible number is 1 divided by 6. Here we can place 1 and 6 as the valid combination. Now we move to bottom left is plus 2 cage, which requires a single cell ulit. Then it's the only number here we can place 2. It's that simple. At the same time, bottom left is plus 1 contains then single cell, so we place 1. Next, we have now single cell ulit plus 4 cage. Since it's the only number in this cage, we can directly place 4 in this cell. To solve the plus 10 cage, middle left side, this requires two numbers that add up to 10. The valid combination is 6 plus 4 equal 10. So we can put here 6 and 4, and that's the answer. Now we can move to plus 3 cage, middle left side. This is only contain one cell, so we can directly place 3. Next, the 13 cage, middle right side. In this cage, we need three numbers that add up to 13. So the possible combination is 5 plus 2 plus 6 equals 13. So we can put here 5, 2, and 6. Then, the middle right side is plus 11 cage, also labeled plus 11. Requires three numbers that add up to 11. The valid combination here is 2 plus 6 plus 3 equals 11. At the same time, we need to put there 2, 6, and 3. Now that we have filled in all cells, let's check our work. We need to ensure no numbers repeat in any row or column, and that all the operations in each cage are correct. As we can see, we've successfully solved the puzzle without any issues. And that's how to solve a 6 times 6 or 6 by 6 Kenken puzzle. By following the rules, considering the constraints of each cage, and ensuring no repetition of numbers, you can logically fill in all the numbers and solve the puzzle. Thank you for your attention.
Let's move on to the magic square. Here's the mechanics. Magic square is a square grid of numbers where the sum of the numbers in each row, column, and diagonal is the same. The goal is to change the numbers in the grid so that the sum of each row, column, and diagonal equals the magic constant. We have 4 rules for this game. Number 1, for a standard magic square, the grid is filled with distinct positive integers, usually starting from 1 up to n squared, where n is the number of rows or columns. Number 2, the magic constant or m is the sum that every row, column, and diagonal must equal. It is calculated as m equals n, parenthesis n squared plus 1, over 2. 3. Each number in the grid must be used exactly once for standard magic squares. And number 4. The sum of all rows, all columns, and both main diagonals must be equal to the magic constant. The strategies are to find the magic constant, of course. Add up the numbers in any row, column, or diagonal. Start with the center. For an odd order with magic square, place the number 1 in the center of the top row and follow the upright rule. Move up 1 row and right 1 column. If you move out of bounds, wrap around to the opposite side. Adjust for occupied cells by moving down instead. The third one is to use symmetry. Spread the numbers evenly across the square. Try to mirror numbers on opposite sides to balance the square. And lastly, follow patterns for bigger square. For bigger squares, use special methods like dividing the square into smaller parts or following step-by-step patterns that work for even or odd numbers. Squares. For now, we will have Ma'am Sila to help you solve the first example of Kenken.
Hello, good day. This is how to solve the magic square. As you can see, at the first row of the subgrid, there are 6 and 2 numbers, but there are one missing number. At the middle, in second row, as you can see, there are 2 missing number, and the only contains number is number 9. At last row, there are 2 number also, and the only number is number 8. At the first row, we have the number 7. And at the second row, we have the number 1 at the left side. And at the middle, we have the number 5. At last, in the middle, at the last row, we have the number 3. In the side of it, we have the number 4.
If you calculate the numbers horizontally or vertically or even diagonally, the sum is 15, so it basically means that number 15 is the magic constant. So we correctly solved the puzzle.
And that's how we solve the magic square problem.
For the second and third example, we'll give the floor to Sir Romney.
Hello class, I am here to explain the way of how to find the missing number of 4x4 magic square. In the previous lesson, we learned of how to find the missing number in 3x3 magic square from Ma'am Sila. Take note, to find the missing number, you need to add first the given number of each column, row, or diagonal, then subtract it in 34. Sir, bakit po 34? Kasi the sum of 4x4 magic square is 34. Ito yung kapag inad mo ang apat na number from 1 to 16, it must be 34. Let's take this an example. Look at this diagonal. We can see that there is a missing number. To find it, you need to add first this given number. Okay? So, one plus 14 plus 11 is equals to 26. And then, di ba sabi natin 34 ang sum. So, 34 minus 26 is equals to 8. So, ang answer dito is 8. Okay? 11 plus 8 plus 14 plus 1 is 34. 34. So, ayusin lang natin. 8 dito. So, nakuha na natin itong diagonal. So, this must be 34. Now, dito naman tayo sa second column. Add first the given number. Okay, palakihin lang natin. 13 plus 8 plus 10 is equal to 31. Then, subtract natin sa 34. 34 minus 31 equals 3. So, this must be 3. So, burahin lang natin to. So, nakuha na natin itong second row is equals to 34. Sir, paano naman pag dalawa ang hinahanap? Same din ang process, class. Unahin muna natin itong pinakababa. Okay? So, 11 plus 10 is 21. So, 34, wait, ayusin lang natin ang 3 natin. 34 minus 21 is 13. So, 13 siya. So, what is the two number na kapag in-add natin is 13? Pwedeng 7 and 6. Pwede ding 8 and 5. Di pala pwede ang 8 kasi meron ng 8. 9 and 4. Pwede din. Hindi pwede ang 12 and 1 kasi meron ng 1. So, lagay na natin ang 7. 7 and 6. Ayusin natin ang 7. 7 and 6. Yan. So, 11 plus 10 plus 7 plus 6 is 34. Wait. 34. Ayusin natin. Alisin natin itong bilog. And then, 34. Yan. Sir, pwede naman ang 9 and 4, di ba? Oo, class. Pwede naman. Kayo na bahala. Basta siguraduhin nyo lang na kada row, column, and diagonal is equal siya sa 34. Okay, erase muna natin to. Dito naman tayo sa taas. Dito. So, add muna natin. 13 plus 1. 13 plus 1 is 14. 14. So, 34. 34 minus 14 is 20. Ayusin natin tong 20. 20. Yan. So, what is the two number na kapag dinivide inad natin is 20. Pwede siyang 16 and 4. Pwede ding 15 and 5. Ano pa ba? Pwede 17 and 3. Di pwede kasi may 3 na. 18 and 2. Pwede. Ano pa ba? 19 and 1. Hindi pwede kasi may 1 na din. 14 and 6. Hindi na pwede kasi meron na. 13 and 7. Hindi na din pwede. So, kayo na bahala guys kung ano trip nyo. Then, lagay na natin dito ang 16 and 4. Uulitin ko, pwede yung 15 and 5, 18 and 12. Basta siguraduhin nyo lang na wala pa sa magic square natin. And kapag inad natin is 34 siya per column or row or diagonal. Okay? So, erase lang natin muna to. Hindi na to kasali. And then, 16 plus 13 plus 4 plus 1 is 34. Okay. Okay, dito naman tayo. Madali lang hanapin to. Add lang natin itong 4, 14, and 7. Or pwede ding ito, add natin to. And ito. So, 4 plus 14 plus 7 is 25. Divide natin, subtract natin sa 34. 34 pala, 34, okay. 34 minus 25 is 9. 9. Ayusin natin 9. So, 4 plus 14 plus 9 plus 7 is 34. 34. Yan. And then 16 plus 3 plus 9 plus 6 is 34 then. 34. Okay. Erase lang natin to muna. Erase natin to. So, dito na tayo. Madali lang to guys. Madali na lang to. So, 16 plus 11 is 27. Subtract natin sa 34. Subtract natin sa 34. 34 minus 27 is 7. So, what is the 2 number? It must be 5 and 2. 5 and 2. Pwede din siya guys magbaliktaran na. Pwedeng 2 dito and 5 dito. Okay? 5 and 2. Okay, erase na natin to. So, 16 plus 5 plus 2 plus 11 is 34. 34. And then, dito naman is dito naman is 1 plus 6 is 7. So 34 minus 7 is 27. So what is the two number that kapag inad natin is 27? So it must be 12. Ayusin natin. 12 and 15. 34 and 34. So, yun. Erase na natin to. So, I hope may natutunan kayo sa akin. So, yan lang. Peace. Pagpasensyahan nyo na yung boses ko kasi sinisipon tayo ngayon. So, let's talk about this 5x5 magic square. In the previous lesson, we learned of how to find the missing number in 4x4 magic square with a sum of 34. Now, dito naman tayo sa 5x5. Take note that to find the missing number, you need to add the given number of each column, row, and diagonal. Same din dito yung sa 4x4 magic square. So, unahin muna natin itong pinakababa. Alamin natin kung ano ang missing number dito. Okay, let's add first 20 plus 12 plus 21 equals 53. So, and then subtract natin sa 65. 65 minus 53 is equals to 12. Yan. So, what is the two number na kapag inad natin is equal siya sa 12? Pwedeng 7 and 5. Pwedeng 9 and 3. Pwedeng di pwede ang 10 and 2 kasi may 2 na. 11 and 1. 11 and 1. Ano pa ba? Kayo na bahala guys. Kahit anong, basta siguraduhin nyo lang na kapag inad natin ito, equal siya sa 65. And then, pag inad natin dito naman, is equal din siya sa 65. So, lagay na natin dito yung 7 and 5. Sir, pwede naman yung 9 and 3, di ba? Pwede class, pwede yon. Kayo na bahala kung alin ang trip nyo. Burahin lang natin to. Okay. So, next, dito naman tayo sa second column. Add muna natin 16 plus 23 ito plus 7 equals 46. So, subtract natin sa 65. 65 minus 46. 46 is 19. So, what is the two number na kapag inad natin is equal siya sa 19? Pwedeng 10 and 9. 10 and 9. Pwede ring 11 and 8.
Pwede rin 13 and 6. Kahit alin guys. 10, 10, 9, 11, 8, 13, 6. Pwede din. So, lagay na natin ang 10 and 9. Sir, pwede namang magkabaliktaran, di ba? Yung 10 and 9. O, class. Pwede yang magkabaliktaran as long as na kapag inad mo to is equal siya sa 65. Okay? Okay, burahin muna natin to. Now, unahin muna natin to. So, first add muna natin 25 plus 23 is 48. So, subtract natin sa 65. 65 minus 48 is 17. So, excuse me. What is the 3 number na kapag inad natin is equal siya sa 17? So, okay. It must be 6, 3, wait. Ayusin natin. 6, 3, and 8. So, next, dito naman tayo sa diagonal. Ito. Hanapin natin ang missing number. Itong dalawa. Okay. Wait, burahin muna natin to. Okay. So, add muna natin 10 plus 3 plus 21. 10 plus 3 plus 21 is equal 34. Iusin natin 34. Yan. Then, subtract natin sa 65. 65 minus 34 is 1, 3, 31. Ayusin natin. 31. Yan. So, what is the 2 number na kapag inad natin is equal siya sa 31? Pwedeng 18 and 13. 13. Pwede ding 17 and 14. 17 and 14. Hindi pwede ang 16 and 15 kasi may 16 na. Ano pa ba? 19 and 12, hindi na rin pwede kasi may 12 na. 20 and 11, hindi na din pwede kasi may 20 na. So, lagay na natin ng 18 and 13. Yan. Ayusin natin ng 13. Yan. So next, dito naman tayo. Ito. Hanapin natin itong dalawang missing number. Alisin muna natin to. Yan. So, add muna natin 2 plus 8 plus 21. 2 plus 8 plus 21 is equal to 31. Then, subtract natin sa 65. 65 minus 31 is 4 and 3. So, 34. What is the 2 number na kapag inad natin is equal siya sa 34? Pwedeng 19 and 15. Hindi na pwede ang 20 and 14 kasi may 20 na. Di na din pwede ang 18 and 16 kasi nandito na sila. Di na din pwede ang 21 and 13 kasi nandito na din. 22 and 12 di na din pwede kasi may 12 na. So, it must be 19 and 15. So, dito naman tayo sa diagonal. Okay? Add muna natin. Wait. Erase muna natin to. 19 plus 3 plus 9 plus 20 is equal to 51. Then subtract natin sa 65. 65 minus 51 is 14. So 14. So that should be 14. 14. Okay. Erase na natin to. Next is ito. So, add na natin 4. Ayusin natin. 4 plus 9. Ito. Plus 13. Plus 15. Equal 41. Subtract natin sa 65. 65 minus 41. 24. So that will be 24. Ayusin natin. Yan. Erase na natin to. So next is ito. Ganun lang guys ang pagkuha ng missing number. You need to add the given number of each row, column, or diagonal. Okay, 14 plus 25 plus 13 plus 12 equals 64. So 64 siya. So 65 minus 64 is 1. So 1 dito. Sabi na natin 1. Yan. Next is ito. Next, add na natin 18 plus 6 plus 4 plus 20 equals 48. 65 minus 48 is 17. So 17 dito. Burahin na natin to. Okay, last two missing number. Wala na lang ditong number is 11 and 22. So, ito na muna. Hanapin natin. 18 plus 16 plus 1 plus 19 is 54. 54. Then, subtract natin sa 65. 65 is 11. So, dito ay 11. Okay. And this must be the 22. Okay. So, 18 plus 16 plus 11 plus 1 plus 19 is 65. 65 dito. And then 17 plus 10 plus 22 plus 14 plus 2 is 65. 65 din dito. Then dito din 65. And then ito namang diagonal. So 18 plus 10 plus 3 plus 13 plus 21 is 65. 65. And then ito naman is then 65. One plus 14 plus 25 plus 13 plus 12 is 65. 65. 11 plus 22 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 is 65. Yeah, 65. And then 16 plus 10 plus 23 plus 9 plus 7 is 65. Yan, okay. And then 65 din dito. And then dito sa diagonal, ito 65 din yan. Ayusin natin ng 5 niya. So I hope may natutunan kayo sa akin.
Hello students! Hindi pa ba kayo pagod sa pakikinig? Well, ito last na. And mind you, this last puzzle is my favorite kasi it was like you're solving for a mystery and it uses scenarios, guys. So, hindi kayo masyadong mababagot sa pakikinig dahil hindi na ito iikot sa mga numbers.
Kaya wag na tayo magpatumpik-tumpik pa. Let's start!
So, here's the mechanics of this game. It says here that logic puzzles solve a given problem or determine a logical arrangement based on the provided clues. The puzzle includes a scenario, a question, and a set of clues or conditions. You may use a grid, chart, or table to organize and track possible solutions. And aside from that, here's the list of the rules. Number 1, use every clue provided. Do not make assumptions beyond the given information. Number 2, ensure your solution does not violate any rules or clues. Number 3, apply deductive reasoning to eliminate possibilities and arrive at a conclusion. Number 4, most logic puzzles have a single valid solution. Double check your answers. And number 5, if necessary, test options but revisit clues to ensure they align with the logic. These are the strategies to solve the logic puzzle. Number 1, understand the problem. Read the puzzle and clues carefully to know what needs solving. Highlight key details to avoid missing anything important. Organize information. Use grids, charts, or tables to visually track clues and eliminate possibilities. Update them as you deduce new information. Use the process of elimination. Start with specific clues and cross-reference them to rule out options. Narrow down possibilities until the solution emerges. And lastly, work systematically. Focus on one part at a time, starting with the easiest. Revisit clues regularly and double-check your reasoning for accuracy.
Here's Mom Carla to help you to solve the first logic puzzle.
Example number 1 of logic puzzle. A bakery logic puzzle. At the cozy, crusty bakery, 4 friends, Romney, Hazel, Marian, and Hannah, each ordered a different baked item, which is a bagel, cupcake, tart, or scone. Use the clues below to figure out who ordered what. Clues. Number 1. Romnick did not order the tart. Number 2. The person who ordered the scone was not Romnick. Number 3. Marian did not order a bagel. Number 4. Anna ordered the tart. So here's the solution on how to solve the logic puzzle step by step. Step number 1, from clue 4, Hannah ordered the tart. Then put the check on the tart row and cancel out the other order. Step 2, from clue number 1, Romnick didn't order the tart, leaving him with a bagel, cupcake, or scone. From step 3 of clue number 2, the scone wasn't ordered by Hannah, so it must been ordered by Hazel. Step 4, from clue number 3, Marian didn't order the bagel. Since Hannah has the tart and Hazel has the scone, Marian must have ordered the cupcake. Step number 5, Liz living with Romnick with the bagel. So the final answer is Romnick ordered a bagel, Hazel ordered a scone, Marian ordered a cupcake, and Hannah ordered the tart.
Wow!
Now we will give you Ma'am Franz for the second example.
4 students, Athena, Isis, Lakshmi, and Priya, each need to pick one course from a selection of 4 subjects, which is mathematics, biology, history, and psychology. Each student has a preference for a subject based on the following clues. Number 1, Athena doesn't want to take a mathematics or biology. Number 2, Isis wants to take a course that involves science. Number 3, Lakshmi is not interested in taking history or. And number 4, Priya prefers a course that is related to human behavior. The clues is number 1, mathematics is not chosen by Athena. Number 2, biology must be taken by either Isis or Priya. Number 3, history is not chosen by Lakshmi. And number 4, psychology is the only course that Priya can choose since it relates to human behavior. Here's the solution. Number 1, Priya prefers a course related to a human behavior, so the only option left for Priya is psychology. Number 2, Isis wants a course that involves science. The remaining science option are biology or mathematics. Since Priya already chose psychology, Isis must be take a biology. Number 3, Athena course take a mathematics or biology. Because Isis took a biology, so the only option left are history or psychology. However, Priya is already taking psychology, so Athena must be taking history. And number 4, Lakshmi is not interested in history, so the only option is mathematics.
So yeah, I'm here. I'm teacher Hannah ulit, your MC once again, and I will be the one taking over right now that we are here at the last example of logic puzzle. So don't mind the background na lang because I don't have a mic or anything na pwedeng yung voice ko lang yung madinig kasi we already have a lot of background noises here, the manok and everything. So yeah, please listen carefully because this example is very complicated kasi ang dami-dami niya ng clues that you need to really think about it. Kasi, kasi niya, complicated talaga. So, here we go. You know guys, the first thing that you need to do to really understand it is to read the situation aloud. So, sabihan niyo ako. 5 nurses, Beyonce, Shakira, Ed, Taylor, and Adele, work on the night shift at a hospital. Each nurse was responsible for administering one type of medication to a patient. However, a discrepancy has been noticed in the records and one type of medication is missing. The nurses' statements are listed below. Beyonce said,
I administered the painkiller.
Taylor said,
Adele gave the sedative.
Shakira said,
I gave the antibiotic to the patient in room 204.
Adele said,
I gave the anti-inflammatory to the patient in room 205.
and Ed said,
I only worked in the ICU and did not give any medication in room 204.
You'll see their statements are also clues. So at the end of this example, you will see who is the one that is lying. Let's move on to the other set of clues. We have 5. Let us read, everyone. Number 1, the painkiller was given to a patient in room 202. Number 2, the antibiotic was given to a patient in room 204. Number 3, the sedative was given to a patient in room 203. Number 4, the anti-inflammatory was given to a patient in room 205. And lastly, the nurse who administered the missing medication did not work in the ICU. Ooh, so this is the issue here. So students, the thrill here is that dalawa yung kailangan nating malaman na sagot. Una is yung kung nasaan yung missing medication, and yung pangalawa saan na room na-administered yon or kung na-administered man siya. So, please, if you can take a screenshot of the clues, please take it na kasi hindi kasi siya kasya na pag-kasyahin dito sa isang picture lang. I mean slide. So without further ado, we will start. What I'm going to give you guys is the solution na. So please listen carefully because I can't write it down since there are no spaces na pwede pang magsulat dyan. So please listen to me. So kay Shakira na muna tayo, kasi mas dali yung sa kanya. So, here is the solution. Shakira claims to have given the antibiotic to the patient in room 204. This matches the clue. So, Shakira is likely telling the truth. Meaning, hindi siya yung liar. Isunod natin si Adele. So, Adele claims to have given the anti-inflammatory to the patient in room 205, which also fits with the clue. So, therefore, Adele is also telling the truth. Then, we'll move to Taylor. So, sabi ni Taylor, Adele gave the sedative. Since Adele's statement matches with the anti-inflammatory and not the sedative, Taylor's statement must be false. Ooh. Adele did not give the sedative, so the sedative must have been given by someone else. Okay, so wag na muna nating problemahin yon kasi alam nating nagsasabi ng totoo si Adele. So, let's move on to Ed muna. So, Ed says she didn't give medication in room 204, which could mean he gave medication in another room, possibly room 202, 202, 202 or room 203, guys. So, may possibility na dyan siya. Ayan, we're deducing the clues, the assignments, no? So, sunod naman natin si Beyonce. Beyonce says she administered the painkiller, which fits with the clue about room 202. So yan, according sa mga clues natin, yung pagde-deduce natin yan yung nakuha natin. So the painkiller is given to room 202 by Beyonce. The antibiotic is given by Shakira in room 204. The anti-inflammatory is given by Adele in room 205. Ito na. Ang sedative, wala siyang nakalagay, as you can see. Hindi natin alam sinong nagbigay ng sedative. So, sabi dito, it must be given by Ed, na hindi nag-work sa room 204, pero pwedeng nag-work sa room 203 or room 205. Pero as you can see, ang room 205 meron na. So, I believe it's the room 203. Si Ed ang nagbigay ng sedative sa room 203. Ayan na. Kung mapapansin nyo, malinis ng consent siya ng 4. Pero may isang wala pang, as in blank na blank yung medication at yung room na kung saan siya nanggaling. And kung babalikan natin yung mga clues, makikita natin that Taylor did not tell anything about herself. She just accused Adele na nagbigay daw ng sedative, which is false din naman. And we can see that sa clues na binigay, yung pang-5 clue states that the nurse who administered the missing medication did not work in the ICU. So, cross out na talaga dun si Ed kasi siya lang yung nurse na nag-work sa ICU. And then, yung 3 nurse, which is Beyonce, Shakira, and Adele, sinabi talaga nila kung anong medication yung binigay and what room sila naka-assign. Pero, si Taylor, yung hindi nagsasabi kung anong binigay niyang medication and which room did she go to. So, meaning, siya ang liar. Siya ang nagsisinungaling. So, to wrap it up, since the clue says the nurse who administered the missing medication did not work in the ICU and Ed worked in the ICU as per his statement, the nurse responsible for the missing medication is Nurse Taylor.
Oh my, but I just did it because someone told me to. Please let me explain.
So that's the end of our discussion, class. So I hope you've learned a lot and you retain some knowledge about how you can solve the Kenken, Sudoku, Magic Square, and Logic puzzles easily. So thank you for listening and see you when I see you. Goodbye.